Join From Beer to the Bible every week as Irvin Lee and co-host Sarah Oliveira McDonald warn others of the consequences of drug and alcohol addiction by being the voice of faith-based recovery. Every week, Irvin and Sarah help people get access to the treatment and counseling they so desperately need. They explore the depths of addiction and give practical life examples of how to recover and develop a new rhythm of living. The show is gritty, authentic, and simply raw while being rooted in the love, faith, and hope of God. Welcome to From Beer to the Bible.
Hi, and welcome to From Beer to the Bible. My name is Sarah McDonald. I am your host, and we have Anika Cooper, special guest of the show. Hi, Anika.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Absolutely. And we have Julie Ryan again with Catalyst Ministries. This is part 2 of talking to Julie about Catalyst Ministries. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. On today's show, we're going to be talking more about the consequences of human trafficking. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe at FromBeerToTheBible.com. We're coming to you again today talking more about Catalyst Ministries. This is part 2 of our series on human trafficking. And we want to know a little bit more about the consequences of human trafficking. As always, we're going to come to you in Scripture, and Julie's going to tell us the Scripture that she utilizes in her ministry today. So,
yeah, our key verse at Catalyst Ministries is Proverbs 31, 8 through 9, that says, "Speak up for those who do not have a voice, and to ensure justice for those that are being crushed. Speak up for the poor and the helpless, and see that they get justice."
Absolutely. And we know that's what you're doing at Catalyst Ministries. And we just want to educate our listeners a little bit more about this subject. And for the women out there to have a voice. And we also just want to speak. We know that there's a lot of people out there who are receiving services from these women. And I don't think that they always really understand the implications in what they are doing. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's significant other. And those people have lives too. And sometimes they get in this bondage and they don't know how to get out of it. And so we definitely want to hear more about all of that stuff. And so let's just jump right into it. How do they get into that lifestyle?
You know what? It can look a little different for each person. But, often it can happen through social media, for example. That's a real common way for young girls who are kind of in their teens or even junior high to be recruited is through social media. So the most common way, I would say, is kind of the boyfriend method in our country, and it can look a little different in different cultures, but this is where someone through social media or even just meeting somebody at the mall or whatever it might be is being just as charming as he can be. And he knows how to basically try to very gradually cause a girl to think that he's going to be everything that she needs and wants. And so it really is kind of a recruitment type of method. And I heard an example, this is from a pimp who talked about how he did this. And he would go to the mall. And one of the things that he said about this is that he would look for a girl, and if she, if he would say hello to her, and she would look at him in the face and say hello, be kind of a confident kind of person, he would just keep walking. But if she looked down and seemed like she had kind of a bad self-esteem kind of thing, he would make her a target.
I've heard that before, especially people who captured children as well. They don't want to go after the confident ones. It's the broken ones, which is so sad because they get even more broken.
Absolutely. Yeah. So really, this is just a type of fraud, a type of deception, which is part of the definition of human trafficking. And this person, we think of it being a man, and it often is, but sometimes it's a girl. And this can happen in high school. It can be a girl. It can be another high school student. It can be a man. They just kind of all look a little different, but he's gradually trying to create a dependency on him and promising kind of the world to her, and then trying to isolate her from her support system. So her parents, her family, whatever that might be. And his motive is profit. He knows that he's going to be able to sell her over and over again and make a lot of money. And so he's in it, even if it's kind of the long game kind of thing. But honestly, some of the testimonies I've heard, even from women that were trafficked in the Dallas area, is that they were basically asked to live with this guy, and she thought, this is going to be great. It's going to be a great new life. Maybe we're going to get married eventually. Those kinds of dreams that were in her head. And within, I think it's 2 or 3 days, he's got her at, into a trafficking situation. So the switch can turn very quickly from that charming person to that trafficker.
That is so scary, because I just think about, our own daughters, or I just think about just dating. Like, people can go on a date with somebody and that could, they could find that person attractive and charming, and, you find yourself, oh my gosh, that is awful.
When I was listening to you, it sounded a lot like Satan.
Yeah.
When you were describing how he comes at her, how he looks for the ones that are looking down and sad and broken, not the ones who are walking with Jesus. Or he's looking for both of them. Yeah. But he comes to steal. It really...
Steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah, steal, kill, and destroy. And he just sounded a lot like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's where it all comes from, of course.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
That is just terrifying.
Yeah. I think what moms are probably wondering that are hearing this is, how do I keep my daughter safe?
Yes.
And how do I help her avoid these kinds of situations? And, I think there's some important things to be aware of in terms of the statistics of women, girls who become victims. And one is that the percentage is very high. 75 to 80% of girls and women who enter into this situation do have a background of violence, of sexual abuse, physical abuse in their own home or from a family member. Sometimes they're more at risk having been a part of the foster care system and that kind of thing because of the abuse that can happen. And
the money, I'm sure. Just the source of security that profession can provide them. And I'm sure that they're like, I'm just going to do this for a little while.
Yes. And that can be part of the deception as well, because when they're brought into this situation, there are a lot of promises that can be made, that we're gonna kind of start this business together. You're part of the family. There can be 2 or 3 or more women that are sort of all, they call it a stable, where they're all living in the same house, and there's a pimp who's there, and he's managing them, right? And so the fact is that they're not getting most of the money.
Yeah.
Right? So even if that's promised, they are a slave. They really are not calling the shots. And so if they receive something, money, a gift, whatever, it's definitely with a motive in mind from him. But he's definitely the one that's benefiting, financially from that. So it's driven that by the profit.
That is just that is heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What are the different, so we didn't get to talk about this on part 1, but what are the different stages of the program? How do they come in? What do they do first? The show is obviously mostly about substance abuse and addiction, and that goes hand in hand with this industry. So is there services for substance abuse and trauma and all the different stages of the program until they graduate? And how long is the program?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, so the program is 2 years long. The woman can stay up to 2 years, so it's considered a long-term restorative care program, residential care. And so there's no cost to them to be able to live in the home. But really, as they come in, as you can imagine, there is kind of in that first phase. We have 4 phases to the program. The first phase is really stabilizing. So the program is real holistic. So we look at the physical, emotional, psychological, the spiritual needs of the women. And some people are surprised by even some of the physical needs that are there. And that's why for us it's so important to partner with, professional people in the community, such as a dentist, doctors, those kinds of things, because often the women have pretty significant dental needs, and some of that has to do with the fact that they were hit in the mouth, many times as part of their abuse, and they're going to have physical needs. So we just really kind of assess all that in those first several days and help them to feel welcome, show them kind of where they're going to be staying, help them to get to know the staff, do all those orientation kind of things. And we have a special kind of welcome basket for each woman that's on her bed when she arrives. We have a boutique that's really a place where, beautiful things have been donated. So sometimes they come with not much. Yeah. And so they can go in, they can shop for free, and pick out things that they need.
This is crazy.
And so, just looking at those various needs. So stabilizing, so looking at what kind of doctor's appointments are going to be needed, dental appointments, beginning with a trauma therapist in the first week. So each woman will have their own trauma therapist, which is someone that they'll meet with normally each week until they graduate.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, it's wonderful to have those people, again, they're giving their time, and they have those special skills and that expertise for the complex trauma that the women have endured. So those are some of those things. And in regard to recovery, if that's an issue, if there's addiction, which it often is, then we're setting them up right away with support services in that way. So recovery services, and again, it's really customized to what's needed.
Sure.
But they're going to have someone that's going to walk with them. We have partnerships with, with AA, with all the different things that are available in the community, and Celebrate Recovery and those kinds of things, where they're going to have people that will be supporting and walking with them, and then the staff is as well.
That's so exciting, because Anika and I have tons of resources that we're probably going to want to talk to you about.
Good. Good.
After this show.
Great. Yes.
What kind of joy have you seen through the suffering of these women?
Oh, that's a great question. What kind of joy have we seen in them? There's so many things. They come in with trust issues.
Sure.
Okay, and that's totally makes sense, doesn't it? Considering what they've endured. And so for them to be able to walk with women and have people that are showing up people who are promising to be there to meet with them or to take them for coffee, and they do it, to have those kinds of things happen where they're beginning to build trust, and they're involved with these groups where they're relearning things like what is a healthy relationship, for example, and what is that mind game that was played on them while they were part of that trafficking situation. We have a group that's called Ending the Game that's been really helpful, that was created by survivors, and that's something that everyone that's part of our program will go through that as well.
Talk a little bit more about that.
So Ending the Game is really kind of the idea that when they've been trafficked and they've been exploited, there's been a game that's been played, and it's been kind of this thing of, this day I do this, and he thinks I'm the greatest person ever. The next day I do the exact same thing, and I'm getting beat up.
Yeah.
And so there's not anything that's really predictable, and you have just kind of this sense of unsafe. You just don't feel safe.
Correct.
Emotionally, physically, in any way. And there's a game, and you're being manipulated, and you just kind of can get into this mindset of, well, I just need to do whatever I have to do to not get hit. Or, also your life is being threatened sometimes. There's horrible things that can happen kind of in the privacy of that trafficking relationship. And so it's kind of that idea of turning the lights on that, so that some of those emotional dependencies that maybe have developed, some of those unhealthy dependencies, we're turning the lights on to show what's really been happening. And it can take time. That's why we really are thankful and believe that longer term program is helpful for the women, because this isn't something that's going to be fixed in a week,
sure,
or 30 days, that kind of thing, and so anyway, that's a little bit of what that looks like.
Are there any women that decide to go back out in the program?
There are some that will relapse,
okay,
and I think that can be somewhat normal because of some of the things I've just described.
Sure.
I feel like we're learning over time at Catalyst ways that we can help that to be less likely to happen. And how can we support but not enable? How can we understand these are adult women that we work with. Sometimes emotionally, because of everything that has occurred in their lives, they might not be, they might be more like 13, that kind of thing. But so it's just kind of walking through those different steps with them, and having really the great team that we have to help surround the women with what's needed. Yeah.
So when I heard Sarah say joy in the struggle, I think I'm reading a book right now from Joyce Myers, and it's about joy. And when I think of joy, I think of even in the storms, even with everything around me falling apart, losing everything, whatever loss, trauma, trafficking, like all of those things, having joy in the midst of the storm, right? Having joy in the eye of the storm. Right. And so I think of what you're doing in the process of watching the women go from living in the storm, drowning by the storm, to having joy, even when they start coming out of this stabilization, they do start to get stable. They do. Yes. Real life is real life. Like life is going to happen. Right. And teaching them and seeing the joy, teaching them, and that's obviously through God's love, that we can have joy even in those situations. So do you see women that you see them grow? Like what stage do you start to see them really, and how did they get there to where they're like, okay, I lost my mom while I was in here. my child decided not to come back with me, those types of things, just real life. And to where they have joy now instead of falling apart at your place.
Yes. Those are great questions. I think that, as you said, those realities are going to happen while they're, in the program.
Yes.
And we've had women who have lost a close friend to like an overdose or something like that. And knowing that could have been them, really, because they were kind of on that same road.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's a matter of listening, being there to listen, to let them process, letting them, continue to work through things with their trauma therapist, praying for them, just supporting them in any way that you can.
Right.
But I think, one of our past residents, Amanda, has spoken about that, and she has just said that, she knows that she's kind of walking down this road, and she would make the wrong choices, and she didn't know how to make the right one, how to get out of that, really. And I think for the first time, she and some other residents said something similar, that that they have hope and they have that support base.
Yes.
Of people.
Community is everything in this situation. That's why it's not just one person in each home. It's like the community is what makes, because in each girl will be placed there at the exact right time for the other girl and this girl, and they all just, it's like it's amazing.
That's so true. That's so true. I love that. That's one of the things I really love, is seeing how they impact each other.
Absolutely. That they don't have to live like that anymore.
Exactly. And one's maybe a little further down the road, they've been there longer and that kind of thing, and they can just say, hey, come on, it's going to be okay. You can do this, and God's going to help you. We've got your back, kind of thing. And as well as our staff and team being there for them,
right,
too. So
I love that.
I love that too. And I think as you were talking about the joy in the struggles too, I think about, I don't know, just the opportunity that they have to sort of discover long buried dreams, and things, interests that they didn't even know maybe that they had. There just wasn't that freedom, that opportunity to explore things. And, one of our residents right now that we have is somebody who, I think she's really discovered that she loves gardening and she loves to be creative, and she's really gifted that way. And, I think this is newer for her to discover those things. And she's one that, for quite a long time didn't smile and didn't really talk much. And to see this summer, I saw, some pictures of her we got to give them this amazing vacation along with some staff. So they got to get away for a long weekend kind of thing. And to see some of those pictures of her smiling, is just incredible. And it's because there's a new hope inside of there, and a joy that was never there before.
Yeah. I actually started I love that. And that's exactly what I would see. I started an event where everybody came, and whatever, if they were a singer, if they were whatever, and they came together, and it was a pretty cool event. And you find that lost dreams are awakened, and that is a beautiful thing. So it's amazing how God will put the same. And that, when I was thinking about the women relapsing or leaving, I remember having that experience, but I was told very clearly, the seed has been planted.
Yes.
They know the love is there now. They know that there's another community. There's another way.
Yep.
And it will never be the same out there again.
Exactly.
Never.
Right.
Whether they make it back, it will never be the same again.
Yes.
That
speaks of hope, I think.
Yep.
Doesn't it? And I think, hope is an incredibly powerful thing.
It is extremely powerful.
Right. And there's a seed of hope that's been planted.
Yep.
Right?
So your ministry is a Christian ministry, and a lot of the people that work there are God-fearing believers. How does God play a role into this? Because I know that when they come to you, they are broken, they are lost, and they might not believe in Christ. So do you just meet them where they're at? Do you immediately say this is a Christian program? Like how does that transpire into the start of the whole program?
Sure. Before the women arrive, we've had several conversations with them, kind of interviews, sometimes in person when we can do that.
Okay.
And so they really are starting to get to know us, and we're starting to get to know them a little bit, before they arrive, and even before, when they kind of say yes, because they really kind of have to commit, because they're going to be doing a lot of work. And we're going to be doing a lot of work, but really we can't do their work for them, kind of thing. And so before they commit, they have to know kind of what they're saying yes to. And one of the things that is clear kind of on our website and everywhere else, is that we're a faith-based ministry, and that Christ is really the center of what we do. And so that's not a surprise to them. But of course, there's no forcing of that.
Yeah.
This is the environment that we operate in. We are not hiding that at all, that this is Christ-centered and we believe in his power. But we're going to meet them where they're at, like you said, and we're going to let them encounter him themselves.
Oh, that gave me goosebumps.
Yes.
Because,
exactly
it
right.
can happen day one. It can happen in the middle of the whole program. It can happen at the end. But
yes,
that big burning bush spiritual experience is probably so beautiful to see.
Yes, it is.
Real quick, what are the difficulties in what you do, and what difficulties do you encounter that you have seen in doing this work?
Boy, I think the difficulties would be, this is something that I'm passionate about, we're passionate about. We love this work. We love this ministry. We love the women. We love the model God's given us. I think we have to also learn to, take care of ourselves within this work, right?
Yeah.
So that we can be healthy. And sometimes you can try to give too much.
Sure.
And then that's not good, So I think just for myself, trying to be aware of that, and, just I'm not real available on the weekends, those kinds of things, and trying to encourage that also for our team, because they're right there in the trenches, but trying to just, celebrate them taking vacations and getting away and doing things that are life-giving for them in their time off, and trying to provide the support so they can be really off when they're away and they're off. So I think that's something that we've had to learn, and we're still learning.
Yeah. So to our listeners out there, I know it takes a lot, Julie, to really develop a ministry. If there's anybody that wants to help you out there, or what kind of services, what kind of things do you need, share with us a little bit about, what the needs are, whether they are, service, gifts, donations, all those different things. And then how do they get a hold of you, and how can they help Catalyst Ministries?
Thank you for that question. It's true. We really have a need for doing this together, within the community, and within the Dallas community, within the Bloomington, Illinois community. And we can't do this work without you all, so we need those dollars, we need generous monthly donors to come alongside of us and just say, hey, we're with you. And, they can find us at catalystministries.net. People can contact me at my email, which is julie.ryan@catalystministries.net. We need staff. We need volunteers, as we are just on the verge of opening our second home, which is called Catalyst Ranch. We're going to need those people that are going to be involved with us and that are going to be with the women as mentors, or maybe helping drive them to appointments, helping teach them how to cook, or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So we need churches to, partner with us. We need businesses. We need professionals, as I said, dentists, doctors, equine therapists, people that are involved with that. That's an important type of therapy that we utilize as well. And so, there's so many different ways for people to get involved. And we have a volunteer information night that will be coming up this fall. So that'll be on our website. And so really they can find pretty much anything they need to there on our website. But yeah, we can do this so much better together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
I am a better person because I was here interviewing you today, and there's so much in that I wasn't even aware of. And there's so many feelings, and I'm sure the listeners get all those feelings too. So we just want to help you in any way that we can. And we are just so blessed that you came to our show today. And we just love the work that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. What a gift and what a blessing to me.
Thank you.
To spend this time with you. Yeah.
As always, please like, share, and comment at FromBeerToTheBible.com. Thank you for allowing me to be your host. And thank you, Anika, for being our special guest today. And thank you, Julie, for sharing your knowledge today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's From Beer to the Bible. Make sure to tune in next week when Irvin and Sarah gift you with even more addiction recovery information. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember, we're always there for you.